Hello, hello, welcome back, and let's continue where we last left off. Yeah, actually, I don't have still no clue why the code yesterday didn't work. This means I'll just add some debug spots and see what's happening. It's about the easiest thing I could do to figure out what is not working. And yeah, I would say let's continue with that. The best part we could do is check if the current path has now a class associated with it. This means we are going to add a debug.log statement, and we want a current path dot movement tile. I'm going to add that to all 4 of them, and then I'm going to check what we get in the debug. But first we have to fight an enemy. Yeah, write the player logs from the interaction with that part. That's fine. And interesting enough, we didn't even get any debug statements. Which means we don't even get to that part. Is this because of movement? No, I need that one to have the stuff spawned. Not the stuff spawned, to have the code wait return instant on update, since it isn't supposed to do anything in there. So that's fine. Yeah, that's completely fine here, I think. I have it in the update as well. Movement range. So it gets technically set 2 times to true. We are supposed to be in combat, so we don't get into that if. And our movement and range points should be set. Let's have a quick look. Yeah, max movement points and range per point is set. What possibly could be the issue is that I'm looping through movement points, which I haven't yet. Well, I'm assigning them at the start of the script, which should mean in the debug view I should have them. No, that's not the issue. Even if I change the room, they are staying there. I get the waiting for movement. Alright. Could it be I have to stay in the debug for that. If I move, we are not waiting for movement, right? The same as if I changing the room. But that one changes instantly to waiting for movement, which means I don't get any tiles back. So since it swaps one of those to truths are working, I will remove that one. I'm not assuming that that one will change anything, but just to have the nothing changes, alright. Do I need the current tile in here? Technically speaking, not really, since I can't move to that one anyway. So let's move that one. Then let's check the for loops, which are technically speaking correct too. Which could then possibly mean that we actually get into that part. But the issue lies in the check for movement. We check if range check is true, which happens as soon as we send the true over there. And that one is basically doing the same. Instead of a for each, it loops with an for loop, which is completely fine. Could I have inconsistency with the coordinates? I wouldn't see why that could be the case. Let's add debug spots. Debug.log found and tile. And then I'm looking. Okay. So at least one of those two should be visible in here. No reference. And I see we're in an endless loop. Which actually means there is an error with this statement. Interestingly enough, we get in this for each loop. Which shouldn't be possible. Since it doesn't find any tiles. Now, this actually means the if statement is the issue. Let's actually check you. Which you call X. Checked X. And then we add check C value, where we do exactly the same. Let's get the whole function in there. I could actually compare it. And that one for the C. And then I want debug.log. Admitted X, which is then this one. And there's a very high chance that is the issue because, yeah, I assume this is the issue because in this script I'm fixing the position values of those. That looks plausible. Let's comment those two out and actually change that one. I here need an vector 3. This one gets a very long line of code. New vector 3, which is going to be that dot x0 and the C value. But we are going to add the math function to it. I will just copy that one because the remaining part I can just adapt because that one is to be current tile X. We don't have a current tile here, that's right. We have a current tile, but we have to access the transform dot position separately. And then I can better this part out. Then we have actually in the array where we start and rounded position, and I assume that is going to be null. Why is that null? Alright, null is correct. Null. I actually miss somewhere an bracket. Math. Oh yeah, I forgot the math in front of that one. Here we go. Well, it's a bit more than 6 times what we get. But bye though. We should only... So this means the check now works. It was really the inconsistency again which got me here. Now it's going to be the movement range per point. That's doing something stupid, most likely. So I go through each stored path and current paths, where we first add the starting position and then all of them which I got in there. Also, I'm excluding paths which are already done. I mean, I could also say is false. I won't assume that this changes the issue. Oh no, we get another reference error. That's even better. Yeah, because we don't... exist on false. Don't I default to false actually? Yeah, I default to false, so this should actually work. That's interesting. I did the same for each here too, did I? If no, it didn't actually. I already had that in the link, which meant those would be included. Would I actually make a global if in here? Like if stored path dot is done, which we check if it's false, and only after that we do all that stuff. Alternative, we could check for a true value and say continue, which skips the whole other part over here, and I wouldn't actually do the where clausel in there. Let's give that one a try. Maybe the where clausel has some issue where that isn't working correctly. Nope. Still reference error. But how actually get that one. That one looks through and then we get there for each, but there is... It's interesting. Technically, very, very interesting. Let's check for false one and get all that stuff in there. But then I don't think it changes on the null reference. Line 173, which is that part over here. Log. I want current paths that count. I actually don't know how many those would be, but the interesting part, that one gets looped through since it never gets the waiting for movement checked. Didn't I set it in the update? Waiting for movement true. After show movement range. Since this one is returning, is erroring out, it just doesn't go to that part, I would assume. The interesting part, we get a count of 29. And the error we get that we have a null reference in there. Now it reloads, but yeah, we have a null reference in this, which means we try to access a null value. Get blocked state, but it shouldn't be supposed to be null. Well, the most easiest part, which we could do, is actually do that one real quick. There. Yeah, because that one is not working, I see. Actually, I can just remove that. Analyze that current path thing. I will comment this part out. And now I should have the list visible in the inspector. Yeah, okay, I see where the error lies. It's exactly the first tile which runs into that error, since that one doesn't get its movement tile set, which means current paths 0. That movement tile is current tile. because that is the actual null error I get. And since I'm checking if that one is actually blocked by me or by something else, I shouldn't have any issue that it should gets possible to select. And now we get our normal movement range. Nice. Now if I move over there, I only get to there, not there. Which 1, 2, 1, 2, 1 should be possible. It should be visible, those two tiles technically. If I go over there, I can move all the way over there, but not on that tile. Or not on those two tiles. Or those two tiles. That tile actually, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, that one shouldn't be possible. That's right. Although that part of the script is actually now working. So if I go over there, I only can go over there, and if I stand over there, I can only go up to there. And not around that cylinder like before. Alright, then we have adapted the whole movement during combat stuff as well. Now I can remove the debug statements in the check. Over there, can remove that part of the code and that part. Because now we're actually finding the tiles correctly. The issue actually were really that we forgot to adapt the position we check to a rounded value, which was the whole issue. Now we want to make now the rounds or the turns during combat, which means if we used all of our movement points. Now the main question is going to be who stores the movement points. Do I want it on the character movement? Technically it's only relevant the range per point. All our stuff shouldn't be accessible anymore, but it has to have a reference to its controller then, which would be annoying. Let's make a quick brainstorm. I could override the movement points I have over there. I actually don't need the maximum of movement points anymore, because it's just not relevant anymore in this case, unless I'm accessing those two values from that script and modify it also in the script. There's a big question, would that be an issue? And actually, if I think about that, I can just get the value each always and set the new movement value if needed. But then I should be... how do I want to do that? Well, I guess the first part is going to be to write the turn manager. So everything knows when it's ready to move and do its stuff. Out of curiosity though, do the enemies get their movement tiles also generated? Because technically the code should do that. So we are now in combat. This means we have you over there. Wait. That's the enemy? Oh, on the other side. There. You. I'm looking for your main part. Character controller, enabled movement tiles, and you don't have weapons either. That's interesting. So your script actually should run an update as well. And you should actually not wait for a movement. But you do. Most likely because he can't find any tiles. Which would mean that he spams the stuff. But on the other hand though... No, he don't spam the stuff because it's its own tile. Oh, he doesn't have a tile, so he gets another reference error, though he should actually spam stuff. So if I move, he shouldn't care about that. Yeah. He won't be able to find any tiles since he doesn't stand on any tile. But I actually can make him on the turn preparation that he moves on those tiles, which wouldn't be an issue. And then I also would have the tile flagged that he stands on it, which actually would be good though. Yeah, let's actually prepare that one. Then we have the dungeon room. You're spawning your stuff. And you also have to set the interaction movement tiles for that one. I actually want to do the same. Do I need to check? Well, I would say if there is place to move out, he moves out, and if he can't move out, he will attack. So if I ever have the possibility that there can be two entities on the space where he is then supposed to go, since the outposts aren't actual tiles. On the other hand, I could now add movement tiles according to the script. Nah, I will keep them out of the outposts. That's fine. Which means I will make an optional parameter with here, which is to be the dungeon room hostile. Yeah, it's just going to be a hostile, which defaults to null. We always do that, and then we check if is null. Then we do all that fancy stuff over here. Else we have an hostile in that case. We do technically the same stuff, but tiny bit different. Which means I have to prepare this hostile script. To have an array. Or did I do a list? Shouldn't concern me. Interaction spots. I just make them public as well. And I call them starting spots. Yeah, starting spots, which is new list. And then in the room itself, we are going to do that. Copy that one in here. But we want to check the hostile instead of the item. We don't have a width and length. Well, I gotta have to add that then. We actually are going to remove that part. And we have the starting spots over there, and we need the width and the length. And I should really do some public things if I make that apparent thing, then having them public actually would be very helpful. So I will actually public them. And now since we also control it with the scriptable object, which means don't need to have that one as a parent. Well, I think about that if I need it. So for now, I will keep it like that. Maybe there could be reasons to separate that. But for now, that's completely fine. Now we have the length and the width of that. Which means that script now should properly work. We have to assign the values, but I guess it should be fine. Now, the Dungeon Master is going to have the whole turn logic. It could be very interesting to code. Let's go through all. We are going to have two lists which are only relevant for the Dungeon Master, but then how do I fill them with a public static void? Yeah, that's alright. So we have a private list of current turn. But actually, what is that list to be contained of, since I have... okay, that's an issue. Unless I control the turns of the characters with the movement script. Which all would have attached. On the other hand, I could just add another class for that, which I attach to them, which handles all the combat logic except the movement. And then also I have to think about how I want to add the AI for the enemies. That it can actually correctly interfere with all that stuff. Yeah, I know how I would do that. This means I'm actually going to create let's rename that folder from movement to character control. Yeah, whatever. And we want a new C# script in here, which is going to be the combat control. Which I then can open. We remove that stuff for now. We are staying empty. And I'm going to use you for the lists. Which means you actually have your characters attached to... Yeah, that's the way how I'm going to do that. We call that the list current turns. And then we're going to have a private list combat control to call that one waiting for turn. With that I can at all who are waiting for the turn to the current turn. If there's no one left anymore, which means the turn is over, I can make an event based on that, which I'm going to do, because that is going to make it easier to refresh the actions. And then maybe add some kind of what's the English word for that? A stat-based turn order, let's say it like that. I wouldn't really... initiative-based turn order, which means faster enemies could actually have that turn before you. Or do I want them separated? I mean, I could add that later on, because that way I could actually control it. Which means I have to add on the event system manager a public static unity event on combat turn end. That one we can remove. That was just for testing purposes. And now over here we can make a private void on combat turn end, which gets an event listener. On combat to end, where we are going to check reverse the stuff for the turn order. Also, now I actually want an update, which is going to check if current turns dot count is 0. We are going to invoke nope, we are going to say event system manager dot on combat turn and invoke. All right. For now, we are going to modify the lists over here, which means how are we going to do that? I will add 2 values to it. We get an private adventurer, which we call just adventurer, and we get a private dungeon room hostile, which is just a hostile. then we are going to have two functions. Public void do we do that with let's do it with one function. That character which gets the adventurer. Let's say no, we default to hostile. That one has to be present. Or it has to be not null in that case. What I'm doing. Hostile. And then adventurer. Like that. Then the adventurer is going to be defaulted to null. We say if adventurer is not null, we are going to set adventurer to be adventurer and hostile to be null. Which technically means it just stays the same. And else, which means it is null, we do the reversed style. Alright. Now we are going to add the public adventurer. Get adventurer, which is just going to return adventurer. Nothing more, nothing less. And also a public Dungeon Room hostile. Get Dungeon Room hostile, which is actually just returning hostile. Which now means in the Dungeon Master we can on the combat turn end make 2 for each. Yeah, technically we make 2 for each. For each. Combat control. Let's say adventurer in here. In waiting for turn. But where x slash gets x get adventurer is not null. We are going to add those to the current turns. Dot add adventurer. Hey, Pompon, thank you. It's going to be something big I have in my head for in terms of functionality. So yeah. And then we do another for each where we do exactly the same as hostile. hostile in waiting for where get dungeon room hostile, which is not null, and we add that one to the list. Naming tag, the naming shouldn't be an issue. And then we can clear the waiting for turn, which means we now set the new turn order. Is this enough? Can I get any race conditions? How do I want to initialize the new turn? Do I want to make an event for that? It's going to be more single player focused. But you can imagine it's more like point and click RPG style. So like old school Dungeon Siege and that stuff, but the movement locked to a quit, like in Final Fantasy Tactics or all those quit-based movement games. Actually, I can do the following. Can I evoke an async function with an event? It only is annoyed that I don't have an evade, but that's fine by me. If I make a public async void over here, call that prepare new turn, don't need any parameters, and yeah, you're annoyed that I don't have an evade in you, and you're never going to get an evade. I'm fine with that. Yeah. I want to be able to evade that function specifically. On the other hand, what I'm doing, I don't need to do that. If I just... I never played RuneScape, so I can't really say anything about that. I only have seen stuff. I don't have to make that async because I can just loop through each Yeah, and then if I would say we make our last for each. Command control. Here we have the current turns. And we just call the current turn for that one. Since I wouldn't actually have a Battlefield name. And that one is just calling that function. Set. No, prepare new turn. And after that I can actually start the new turn. I don't have to make any invokes or anything else. Because that one has to finish anyway before it goes to the next part. Which means I don't need an await, which is good. Let's correct the naming scheme over here. The prepare new turn. You're going to have an if-else statement. Just because I use you for both of that stuff. Actually, no. I don't have to do that. I'm just going to add the character controller directly in here. I'm going to want that one submitted in here too. Let's take it as a first parameter. And we are going to that. For both of them. And then I just can actually get the function in the character movement where I'm resetting the movement points. Public void reset. Let's rename that altogether action points. Don't need a function for that. Movement points. You're going to become action. Oh, I have already coded worse if-else statements. But yeah, Yandere def is something different. Action points over here. All right. Yeah. Let's change that one to action points. As well, movement range per point stays, and we are going to do that one over here. Nothing else. Now what I want to do, I want to actually reduce my action points if I move. Which means I could do that in the update. Get next waypoint. And here I could add a counter. Well, I can add a counter to the class itself. have to sort that one at some point. Private int waypoints moved, which is default to 0. And now on the get next waypoint, we can add a little statement, dungeon master in combat, because that should only happen in combat, otherwise I don't really care about action points. Yeah, that's a bit much, that's true. The longest I have written is for just one class to generate the vault is about 6,000 lines of code, I think. I don't know. Let's check real quick. And the map generation and my vault script from the project before. No, it's 4,200. Not even close. So here we are going to check if waypoints moved is larger or the same. It shouldn't be larger, but it just in any case it gets bigger than it's supposed to be. Movement points per point. We are going to actually reset that one to 0, yes. We remove ah, that's true, yeah. I mean, I have to do a performance testing later on anyway, since I'm working on a different machine than since before. And with the older one, I really felt the performance difference because it was quite old for that state now. And yeah, it's still no comparison to my work notebook, but yeah. So we set the weapons moved. I want to reduce the action points by 1. In that case, and after that, I still want to increase the weapons moved by 1. Do I? Let's count it real quick. 1. No, I actually don't want to do that. Which means that one gets an else statement. In case that doesn't happen, we increment. Which means I move 1 tile, I'm fine. The second tile, no, it's actually because it is on this. I have to increment it before everything else then. Because if I move the second tile, all of that should happen. I should reduce the action point. And yeah, I guess it's fine. And then if we are I think I did a little oopsie over here. That one is the last part. I want to do that before everything else, because that is the last point where I move. Let's actually move that one after it, because if I reach the last waypoint, I also want to deduct an action point. So if you just move one tile and you could move 2 tiles, you also lose a movement point. Technically, I should be able to test that, since the player character has already all of that assigned. Do I need to debug for that? Max action, yeah, I need to debug for that. Let's see, I should have 3 action points. If I move 1 tile, I lose 1. If I move 2 tiles, I lose 1. That's correct. And let's see if I move 3 tiles, if that still works. I like that error message down there. But yeah, I actually know what's happened. Alright, let's just ignore that error for now. And if I move 3 tiles, I should be deducted 2 action points. That works exactly like I wanted. That's good. So this means the action points with the movement will be deducted. So the movement is now all done. We don't reset the action points for now yet. I will have a function which returns the action points though, because I'm going to need that, since I am controlling the action points in here. Public void modify action points, which actually could be subtracted or added based on modified modifier. Most likely have modifier written wrong. Did I? Modify. Alright. It's all correct. I'm surprised. And that should be, if I get -1, it will be subtracted with 1, and yeah. that should completely work out like that. Now I have to move the list here too. Which means I need a public void on turn end, which gets a combat control of let's call it combat control, that's fine I guess. And that one is actually Dungeon Crawler on Game Boy. Well, yeah, Golden Sun was a great game. I never played them through, but the stuff I played on the Game Boy was actually mostly just Pokemon. Bootleg versions of Pokemon as well. And that was it basically for the Game Boy. But other than I know of Golden Sun, I have played it a bit. It's a really great game. It's the same as for Final Fantasy Tactics. That one was great too. So since I have a reference with the combat control here, I just can say current turns dot remove and Fallout London was the mod for Fallout 4, right? Well, gotta get around to try that one at some point, but currently not playing that much Fallout. So now we have that one added here as well. Which means I have to do that on this part. Which means I actually now need to update. I actually don't know how performant that is going to be. If character controller dot get action. Get action. Didn't I? Get action points. What are you about? Yeah, okay. Actually, using the wrong class for that. Let's say is smaller or equals 0 just in case I subtract below 0. I'm not sure. Hello, Speak Alive. Welcome to the stream. Now if that happens, we actually go to the Game Master, the Dungeon Master, not Game Master in this case, that are on turn. Did I just call it turn end? No. I didn't make it a static, that's why I can't find it. Public static right. Can I just make this with this? No, I can't. Let's make a any function. Private void. Oh, that's not going to work either. Actually, how was it? I can't do that like that. I could make the list static and access those. But don't need that function anymore. The general idea of the game is going to be, let's see if let's fix those compiler errors real quick, so I can show you. Just to maintain that I don't forget it later on, or else I have to do 3 streams and forget it still after that. Its main game loop is going to be Dungeon Crawler, where you going to let's ignore that error. I know the reason. Yeah, let's fix the error that it's annoying me right now. Let's comment that one out. Alright, main game loop is going to be a Dungeon Crawler. It's still doing that error. Alright, let's ignore that error then. Which is going to be pretty dark if I disable my test light. That's about the lighting level I would feel comfortable with. And you're basically looking for loot, trying to survive the dungeon, which is always changing, which then ties into the second part, where you actually manage your adventurers, where you can progress them from the levels that will get a full-fledged talent tree for each of them, and maybe also the possibility to change the class before the run. There are a lot of things I have still to decide, and basically the stuff you loot you can sell. Potions you can try to research what they do, so you maybe have can take them on your next adventure for healing purposes or whatever those potions could do. You could find equipment which could be worse or better than what you have currently. You could sell that or identify that in the base and all that stuff. The darkness is a big choice I made. The characters will all have a light source, which you can toggle. It is a finite resource, so you have to decide when you want to toggle that. As you can see, those parts over there, which have the placeholder button on top, this will be a little help to highlight objects you would otherwise not see, but the logic of the room is in that part that the character would be possible to see it. Like in this case, we have 3 torches, and this is enough light level in the room to highlight them. And that's all in Unity, right? And basically, the items on the tables may be hard to spot if the light level is lower, or the shadow, like in this one, could make it fairly difficult to spot the tile, the item. That's because that's the reason why I have the highlighter. And if the room is too dark, you still can decide to use your own light to make everything interactable in the room. So if you find loot where you can say, yeah, that is worth the risk to look how that's going to be. Hi Shiro. Yeah, I created. I have a project before that, which I currently set on hiatus since I don't really get my head around if the game in the later stages will still be engaging. And then I had the idea about this one, and it felt that it could be in all stages engaging. The only thing I have to think about is the late game parts where the dungeons could grow very large and into multiple stories, how I would balance that and still make that engaging, that you actually want to do that. Except for the reason, like, yeah, I want to grind through it because I want the progression. I see. That's actually not a reference because I didn't initialize the lists. Well, good that I see it now. Would have been very bad otherwise. Now this means on the combat controller I actually can now access the 2 lists of the Dungeon Master. Yeah, about the playtests, I'm going to definitely make on itch.io let's say prototype test, where I hope to get some people in, getting some feedback, and probably with the content I have to that, I will create a Steam page, and as soon as the character management part, which is in the second loop, is finished, I'm planning to release a demo to get even more feedback. Let's see, with that line I actually should reset the turns if possible. change the room. Yeah, no. We got an enemy spawn, but we have no movement points. Did we? Can't. I have overview function. Yeah, okay, that works. The door directions, do you mean like the connectors of the rooms, or like where you come into the dungeons? Or like the different floor connections? Did I reset moving points once? I have. Didn't get any enabled movement points though. Did you remove my action points? Yeah, you did. -2. Well, the entrance to the dungeon is always a different direction. That's just a random direction I'm creating. Well, rotating to say directly, and all of the other stuff is just random generated. And in the preparing for the dungeon part, you actually can decide on the rooms you want to spawn. So you can manage the risk or the reward level of everything you could spawn. So you could actually create a dungeon with a low risk, most likely a low reward too, just to level a new character you acquired. And an entrance itself is going to be only the start point where you start. This is the only entrance. And there will always be one descent to the next level if you unlocked the next level, the next story of the dungeon. And what I have planned for the other stories is that they get like different thematical stuff, like the crypta turns into a whole cave system and stuff like that. Alright. My movement points did something stupid. If I move over there, I don't have any movement points left. No, actually I don't know if the Dungeon Master is actually doing what's supposed to update. Combat turn and invoke. We can't do that because we actually don't have a reference to that class yet. That's right. That's why it's not working. Let's add that real quick. We have the player itself. Get your combat control attached, and let's wait with the enemies. Now I also want to assign that to you. we say we get another setup field, which is going to be the combat control. And on the start, combat control dot set character, which is going to be the character movement null, since we are not hostile, and then the adventurer script itself, which is going to be this. Then now I should be at least be able to turn through the turns myself without any movement. Oh yeah, I forgot. I have to assign that one too. So that is your combat control. Yeah, I attached that. I didn't forget that. So let's move to a room with an enemy. Well, you could think about that. Interesting that it's the roof. Oh, I see what's happening though. Does it reset some action points? No, it doesn't. So you could say that rooms are looking for a certain direction, kinda. So yeah, I can't see static like that. That's right. I forgot that. What's actually happening? You could say it like that. It's not entirely correct, but you get the direction how it's kind of working. If I say I use a normal path item, I have basically two parts. Those are centered in that case, or if I swap to the off-center one, those are off-center. What I'm saving on those connections is the size and the off-center. And if a room spawns, it basically checks for each available room, do I have a connection, do I have rooms which fit on that part? I have at least one part which can fit, and then it rotates the room to check which direction it could go, and then it just selects a random direction which spawns the room then. And it also checks then if it checks in advance, so it doesn't run into other rooms or get a premature dead end, which would be very bad. So the first week on coding, I spent a lot of time to fix that there are no overlapping rooms. And which made it a little bit harder is the inconsistency which Unity has, and that made it a bit difficult in the start. Wave collapse function. That's... yeah. Would have been an idea, but I don't know if I could use it in the same way. Maybe. I was technically adapting functions from my project before, which had completely random generated stuff where I didn't even have the chunks pre-made. Yeah, that's befitting for me. Gotta add that one. To watch later. Nope. Save watch later. There you go. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking too. It's just some stuff I want to polish because it would annoy me otherwise. Yeah. Unless you have everything pre-planned and you don't add anything after that, you could avoid spaghetti code, but as long as you get the idea like, oh, you could add that one and add that one, there will be spaghetti. It's inevitable. But on the argument of if statements from before from Yandere dev, I could actually show you a very, very nice if statement I wrote on my previous project. I mean, as long as the spaghetti is working and maybe maintainable to add our stuff, then it's nothing wrong. I mean, the dialect system of Undertale is a very good example. Oh, that's nice. That's cool. Let's see if I go into my map generation and go into my vault script. That is the currently largest file I have written with 4,200 lines, which has those very nice if statements like those. I just have like 20 lines of if parameter. I don't get the name right now. Then I often had the idea if I could write that one in a function, but then I'm thinking like even if I do it in a function, it still stays the same. On the other hand, yeah, I could have saved a lot of lines with a function which just does the if statement. Oh well, you never learn enough. Right, let's get back to here. Let's see why my turns didn't reset. Yeah, those if statements took me a very long time to work out properly, but now they're working. I can technically show you though. Just doing it like that to change the Unity window. And restart that one for later. And basically the if statements... Oh yeah. I just assumed now you mean me, but never mind. The if statements I used for that is actually just the path generation for the tower defense I created. Sure you can. Feel free. But yeah, I made a huge if statement for the path, though it can't go too close to the border of the chunk, and also can turn around in case it wants to make a U-turn. So this one is my first project from before. Do you have it maybe on Steam though, or... Oh, tower defense, I love it. Oh yeah, there we go. So then I would just assume you mean that one. So this is, if I get it correctly, a mix from... Wait. Is this a mix of Vampire Survivors and tower defense, or were those just bullets? I don't know, they're looking like bullets. Ah, bullet hell, okay, yeah. Reading is sometimes very important. That looks pretty cool. Yeah, that's true. But I just put it on hiatus since I don't really think that it's be engaging in the late game. So I I considered using pre-made assets, or maybe like making how is it called? Looking for commissions, but for now I want to learn that stuff, how it's made. For the prototype, I would say it's enough, and depending on where it goes after that, I would most likely make a commission for that and get assets made, which I would like. Unless I'm getting good enough in Blender to make them myself. But yeah, this one would have been a tower defense card game where you actually get your cards, which sets the paths. I had that idea with the reminder of let's look on Steam how it was called. Rogue Tower, that was the one. But I wanted to have like more control over the tiles which generate. And instead of the classic, you place the dungeon, place the towers, the towers get placed randomly on the tile, and you increase the tile level, which then increase the amount of the towers, for example. That was like the main idea in that. And actually the borders with the trees and the hills in that case would have actually have like a gameplay function as well. Oh. Yeah, I know what I forgot to add. What happens now if I change to that window? Ah, it's got the wrong Unity window, I see. So what I actually need is I have to prepare a new turn, but I never actually reset the action points. That's right. Which means correct the movement. That reset action points, and that should be it. And later on we will have dots and our stuff, which also would be calculated on the new turn. So just let's add and to do our functionality on turn change. Then that one should actually work now, hopefully. So if I go over there, all of my movement points are fully reset. Yeah. So we have that one now. No extra point, that's good. Now let's get basic movement for the enemy done as well. And maybe the turn functionality for them. I also should yeah, right, I renamed you. That's why I don't find you. There we go. This means I have to modify the update that I can't move while. That's the reason, okay. In this class I can actually just do it with a bool. On the other hand, do I need a bool for that, since I don't get my action points with that until all entities have moved. I guess I will keep it like that for now. Which means I go now to the enemy. It triggers combat. And in this case, you're going to add them to the current turn list at this. Well, not directly this. I need a reference to the combat control. And that one is actually what is supposed to go into that list. And also I can now add that one in the start. Set character, which is going to be the character movement, and this. Then he has its combat control assigned as well. Now your trigger, do I want to do your first turn directly with the trigger and no, technically not. The important part is going to be if the movement script works. I'm from Austria. But was born in Germany, so it's not a very large jump. Well, I mean, I can't say it in this country, but it's like language-wise the same, even if you shouldn't say that in Austria. Or if you like to have some issues with people, you could say it, but it's not the healthiest choice. Poland is a very great country too, with very good devs. So I'm actually not mixing something up. I mixed that one up. But anyway, I have seen Polish stuff too. But yeah. But yeah, I love to swap Poland with the Czech Republic sometimes. It happens. Because I'm not very good at geography. Yeah, CD Projekt Red, that's right. Alright. Well, I couldn't really compare those two languages. I mean, I grow up on the border of both countries, so so I hear both, but for me it sounded pretty similar. But actually, if I look, yeah, for close to 2 years, I was very close to the Polish border. So if you know Skorzelek, or in German Görlitz, then you would know very closely from where I originate. Oh, that's very far to the north then. If I have the right one. But yeah, I did cross the border a lot of time with my parents because we're going shopping groceries over there always. And gas as well. Wrong window. I have to stay over there. Now I want to manage the turns. Actually pass that one through the combat control into the character movement and have here a bool private bool, call it current term, which I will default to false. It's only going to be relevant in combat anyway. So I want to actually move the update up to the start so I can actually have them when I need it, and all the other stuff comes below. Technically, I could modify this statement and say we want either that one to be true or we want to be in we actually don't know if we are in combat, but current turn. That's true. But on the other hand, well, I don't know about the Sonic movie, but as far as I know, a lot of movies which originated from video games aren't really good. Well, I didn't experience a good one. it should be in combat. Now. Haven't seen Mario, but well, Arcane is. Could you compare to that? Well, technically. Well, then yeah. I haven't seen any of those, but about Arcane, I heard a lot of good stuff, and Mario 2, I think. What I'm not really up to date about that one. And Castlevania, I never heard of. At least about the movie. Did Resident Evil originate from the games, or was it completely separate? I don't know that. Okay. I mean, yeah, the movies are great. I like them a lot. The games, I never played, to be honest. When I had the opportunity to play Resident Evil 3, let's say I was way too young for that. But still, even as of now, I most likely wouldn't play them. But I know the story from YouTube, at least. That's something. I like the story of the remake for yeah. The details they added to that one is amazing. But the combat looks a bit very tedious. Yeah, technically to make the enemies moves, I would have to add that first kind of basic AI. And then the question is, where do I want to add that? I actually don't want to clutter that one, but I guess on the combat control that should be fine. Now that's very funny that you mentioned Final Fantasy. So I have a very good question. So according to movies based on games, did you ever see the Final Fantasy movie? And I hope you didn't, to be honest. Yeah, I guess I can clutter the character movement more, since as a player these functions won't be any use, though I can use them only with that. Yeah, that's... Now I have all the boots on you. How do I want to handle that? Now, and I have everything referenced in here, so I can actually call this function in there and control it in here as well, which I should do. Yeah, even if I add external sources just for the yeah, that should be fine. I could just link it in here and have the stuff working out, I think. Make a public void, which we call handle turn. We don't need any parameters for that one. And on the combat controller, I want the same function over here. Handle turn. We just say if hostile not null, since that is only be used from the hostile script. Only the hostiles are going to use that part because the player is doing its own stuff. Hostile dot handle turn. I forgot to capitalize that correctly. And now from here out we are controlling everything because we all have the rules in here. And let's say if is combat ready false, we are going to get combat ready. Well, at least the enemy is getting combat ready. This means we flip the value to true. And now we want character movement. Can I just plainly move you to a tile? Technically, I should be able. I could add that as a single waypoint. And then that the bool to moving. I want to basically skip the prepare movement. Because then I could handle change the add the waypoint on myself. And the remaining stuff would actually do what it's supposed to do. Thank you very much and have a good night, evening, depending. Thank you very much. So I just could actually add another optional parameter over here of type bool, which we just call is enemy preparation. just to keep the names the same, hostile underscore, and we default that one to false. And then we can say if is hostile preparation false, we do the prepare movement, because that is for the player stuff, well, and for the enemy with the waypoint system is now technically naming. The naming could be now confusing, but I'm not planning to modify that script a lot anymore. And since that one is public, I could just say character movement dot transform movement target is going to be a starting spot with an random range 0 and the length as a count of that one. Then I also want null in here and true in that case. So what I then modify over here, I want an, let's actually say we want the true over there, else you go down to the else statement and you will add a waypoint. You shouldn't have any waypoints in you. It's just going to be of new vector 3. Movement target dot x 0 and movement target dot the value. Since I'm in the transform, I also have to add the position over here. Technically, I don't have to add the rest since all of that is saved in the position anyway. Was worth a try. And I'm not trying to cast that into our variable. So we have only one waypoint, all of that is fine. And then let's modify the action points. Maybe say, just to be sure, -99. It should reset the next turn anyway. And after that, still have to... Let's subscribe to the event system manager on combat start. Private void on combat start. No Unity, that's not what I wanted. And you're going to be what gets called from the oh yeah, I should write the function correctly. Add the listener. Here we go. And that one is going to add to the dungeon master. Waiting for turn. And the combat control. Add. All right. Do I miss something? No, I guess I'm fine. Let's see if something explodes. Like that. "23 times. All right. Most likely because he doesn't have an combat control referenced. So technically I'm now waiting. Well, all are waiting that they can move. Because I didn't set who is allowed to move. So handle turn, this does all of that stuff. You have the character movement assigned. Let's rethink. I have on combat turn end. I could also then add an turn end, which each character invokes when it's finished, when he's finished. Which means the next one is going to get its turn. Technically, that is probably the way to go. So I will just on turn end as well. Make here a function. Let's keep private and public separate. Private void on turn end. We also want to add a listener to that. Here we go. Did I like that? And that one is going if current thoughts count is larger than 0. Current turn 0 index. If I remove an entry, does the index move? Well, I gotta find out. Dot. Let's actually use the handle turn. And you will character movement set. I think I have to add the function for that. Set current turn. Alright. You most likely don't move because I have to make a separate script for you too. Oh, right. I forgot about that. I should stop just doing the half step. So, actually... commit control. You have on the update that you let's adapt that one. I want a parameter of type bool. Current turn. So you are submitting true in that case. And we want to set current to false. And you are going to invoke the tenant event system manager on turn end invoke. And what we could actually do, get that script added in here. Because it will always be the same who... no, I don't want to do it like that. Let's go into the dungeon room. I can't do that too early because the Spawned entity should know where it's supposed to go. Ah, you know where I can add that. Because that one sets all of its stuff, so over here, if Dungeon Master in combat, which should be set, and then we invoke everything is spawned in, now of its tiles. We actually don't need that part. Then let's see what happens. Nothing exactly. That's great. And you didn't move either. Did at least your stuff get set correctly? No. Don't have a current tile. You don't even get the starting spots. Okay, that's an issue. Oh, I guess that's the main issue here. No, it's not technically. Since the rules don't get set correctly too. Gotta be a short moment AFK, be right back. well, I'm back. And probably cutting the stream short for today and ending it now, since I'm experiencing a small bit of pain again. And this makes it quite hard to focus. So yeah, I'm guessing I will stop it for today. I will thank everyone for watching, for chatting, for subbing and liking and all of that stuff. And I hope you have a good night, great day, depending on your time zone. And I hope we see us next time. Bye bye.